So here we are, in what I would call paradise. Somewhere off of the coast of Jamaica, we have blue skies, we have sun, we have the ocean. What more can we need from this paradise? What more can we use? Well, there's something missing. And although we're in a very nice, peaceful locale, the one thing that's missing from it is puzzles. Yes, puzzles. Lots and lots of puzzles, whether they're hand-modded puzzles by people like Trey Poom or CAD design, three-dimensionally printed. Puzzles would make this whole thing complete, wouldn't it? So luckily I've got that to add to all of this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to focus on this guy over here in these settings. This is a 3 by 5 by 7, and yeah, I've gone through 3 by 5 by 7s before, and I'm going to go through it again in the future, but I wanted to do a little bit more of a description on how to solve this guy over here. I'm also doing this because I'm making a pitch to where this needs to be made available to everybody. In other words, this needs to be mass-produced. If you can mass-produce a 2 by 4 by 6, you can certainly mass-produce a 3 by 5 by 7, and the quality of this puzzle will show just why that should happen. This is an ultimate shapeshifter, and we need to expand that category of ultimate shapeshifters in the future. So what I'm going to do is scramble this up and do a little bit more detail of a solve regarding how to actually navigate through this beast. Now what you see me doing as a first part of the scramble is you see me doing a 180-degree scramble with this. The reason that I'm doing that is ultimately I'm going to end up with a 180-degree solve as my last step. So turn this over here, and I'm going to get the best type of a scramble that I can. Now there's a couple ways of scrambling this puzzle, and you get different challenges with each one. I'm going to do it both ways. So that way I can enhance the challenge of this particular puzzle. So I'm going to scramble this up completely and see where we go. Abracadabra. And there we have it. So a nice, really well scrambled up ultimate shapeshifter. You can see it's a cut above the scramble that you're going to get with a 2 by 4 by 6. But again, the whole pitch for this is to try to get this mass produced. So let's see a lot of support for this, because I know everybody wants this, and believe me, it's worth it. So how do we solve this? How do you approach this? Well, when approaching any new puzzle, let's see how many of these sides we can get out of the bandaged form, because that's really what a cuboid is it's a cube that we've bandaged within the process of the scramble. So this started out as a 3 by 5 by 7, right? But we can't obviously get to all of those sides. I have this side available to me here, I've got this middle side here, and this here. So I've got 3 layers available to me at this side, 3 layers available to me at this side, 1, 2, 3. So basically all I have that's available to me is a 3 by 3. And what I want to do is I want to try to free up as many layers as I can, and the way to do that is by placing the corners, edges, and centers in line to get a sort of a skeletal outline of this puzzle, and then I can start freeing up other layers. Now, to those who have a puzzle like this, I can guarantee you probably haven't scrambled it quite the way that I've scrambled it, because, well, there's 2 ways of scrambling to get 2 types of mix-ups, basically. Center and edge mix-ups, where if you start scrambling it a certain way, you won't be able to scramble, you'll already have bandaged part of your edges and you won't be able to scramble them. So I actually did this in a very specific way. I'll show how to do that in future tutorials and future videos. Same thing with this guy. One of my favorite puzzles, by the way. Also needs to be mass-produced. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with a 3 by 3 solve. Now the way that I do 3 by 3 solves is by the beginner's method. Now understand, the purpose of the 3 by 3 solve is not to solve the puzzle, but to start to relinquish some of the bandaging so I can free up more sides. So I'm going to pick a center. Here's my yellow. Now I'm going to, all of the sides have the centers that tell me where things are supposed to be. For instance, I know that this is yellow, I know this is white, I know this is blue. So the odd layer ones are actually easy from, well, I shouldn't say easy, but they're easier from that standpoint. So the way that I do this is I'm going to get the cross first. So here's my yellow center, here's a red center. Let's find the edge, but what edge am I looking for? Well, I'm looking for the one that's on the outside. So here's a white, yeah, we're doing yellow. Here's a yellow and green. Here's a green center, so this is the one that I'm looking for. I'm ignoring all this stuff in the middle. That's going to come back later. So I'm just going to wheel this up over here so that this edge matches with this center. These I'm going to ignore. I'm just doing all the terminal ones, the ones at the very end. So this is in over here. So now I'm looking for the blue one, blue and yellow, that's right at the end. So blue and yellow at the end, blue and yellow at the end, blue and yellow at the end. And actually, to be honest with you, I don't have to necessarily do the blue and yellow. It could be any one. Well, it's right over here. You probably saw that before I did, and were probably yelling at your screen saying, there it is. Anyway, I'm going to move this in so this moves to here. This is the center. That's the whole thing about the perspective with this. This is the center, not this. 1, 2, 3. Well, actually, I'm incorrect. This is not the center. This is the center. I was wrong. So this is the green center here. This is the blue center. So you can see perspective is always an issue. I match this up here, so this is matched up with the center. This yellow then wheels up to here. So now I have this in. So this is in and this is in, the green and the blue. Let's see what other ones that we have. Okay, we've got this yellow and orange. This is the orange center. So let's move this down here. Bring this right up to its center. I'm going to move this back and whip this around over here. Now this is 3x3 beginner solve. If you know the 3x3 beginner solve, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you don't, just sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. So you've got these guys over here. I've got one more yellow center. This is here, yellow and red. Orange and red. Yellow and red, rather. So I'm going to move this up to here so it matches up with the red center. Bring it in and bring it back. So anyway, this is the cross. You can see that we've matched edges up with centers, and we've got the top center cross over here. So believe it or not, that's the cross. That's what you get with a 3x3. What I'm going to do now is move the corners in. So what corners am I thinking of? Well, here's a corner that's yellow, blue, and red. So I'm going to move this around. Here's a blue, and here's a red. So this one belongs up here. How am I going to move that in? We'll move it just below where it's supposed to be, and then do R-I-D-I, R-D. You can keep doing that over and over again, R-I-D-I, R-D, until you pop it in. Yes, this is the simplest of solves of a 3x3. Now I know that this is correct, because this, I ignore this, we're not there yet. This lines up with this blue, this orange lines up with this, and this red lines up with this. So we keep going. We see another yellow corner here. This is going to be the orange and yellow, green, orange and yellow, so it belongs over here. Same kind of thing. It's R-I-D-I-R-D. What I'm doing is I'm just doing a little bit of a shortcut, but it's the same concept. I'm not reinventing the wheel here. So now this is in. I believe I knocked this one out. Blue and orange. Blue and orange goes here, right? Orange, blue, yellow, so too does this go here. Again, if you know how to do a 3x3 solve, this is not a mystery to you. If you don't, pick up a 3x3 and learn to solve it. So now this is the final one here. We just have to move this into place, this corner. And just like that, as you do with any 3x3, is you have the first side. And boy, is that sun hot. So anyway, this is the first side. Corner, 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 corner. They're all lined up with the respective colors over here. Might not look like much, but we're actually that much closer to getting where we need to be. I hope we don't have too much shadows on this. Okay, so now we're going to do the middle layer over here. So you have to bear in mind what our middle layer is. I'm going to turn this upside down, and anything that is not white with the edges has to come down. So that, for example, this green does belong by this green center. This orange has to come down to here. This is actually the center, not this. This is an orange center. You can tell by this edge over here. So to move this down, this is a beginner's method 3x3 edge placing algorithm. UI, LI, U, L, U, F, UI, FI. Alright, pop that into there. Lickety splits. So now we have this. Now remember, this is not the center, this is the center. This is why this puzzle is so fun. It's got perspective issues. Anyway, so this goes to here. This is red, not these two, but this one. So this guy comes down to here. So now this is the same as the beginner's method for 3x3. On the right side, we have U, R, UI, RI, UI, FI, U, and F. So now these guys are in. So we're placing this other layer over here. Turning it around. See what else we have. We've got the blue and red. So this actually is part of the center here. Ignore all this other junk over here. This has to come down to this blue center. So same algorithm. U, R, UI, RI, U, rather UI, FI, here and here. Okay. So same algorithms. I don't want to keep saying the algorithms just because it breaks my concentration. And I'm going to move this over here, orange to orange, blue down to here. UI, LI, UL, UF, UI, FI, and it's down. Okay. So now we have one final one to get in here, and it's this one. This has to come down to here. Same algorithm. These are edge placing algorithms. Turn, 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 and turn. Okay. I can't believe that some people have this kind of temperature year-round. I'm from the north, and we get quite a bit of snow and quite a bit of cold. And where I come from right now, we're buried probably ankle-deep to knee-deep in snow right now. Anyway, so you can see this middle layer is completely solved. So now we have the dilemma of the last layer here. First thing to do is to orient the edges. These two are oriented correctly. This is not, and this is not. This gives us an L formation. And with that, you hold it here, one to the left, one to the back, and do F, R, U, R, I, U, I, F, I. That'll orient these two. What this algorithm is actually doing is it holds this exactly where it is. It causes this to slide over here, this to rotate and come over to here, this to rotate and come over here. So at the end of the day, they'll all be oriented correctly when you have this line formation. F, R, U, R, I, U, I, F, I, and there it is. Now that you have them rotated correctly, we want to make sure that they're permuted right at the right place. This is fine over here. This is not fine over here, not fine over here. So this is fine over here, this is fine over here. I see two edges that are where they need to be and two where they're not. Align it so that the one that's where it needs to be is to the right and to the back. And do R, U, R, I, U, R, 2, U, R, I. What you're getting is you're actually getting a little description of how to solve by a beginner's method. So anyway, these are all in. Now we just have to do the corners. The way that I like to do the corners is see which one is already in position. This one is white, orange, and blue, orange, blue, and white. So this is where it needs to be, this isn't. According to the law of cubes, if this is right and this is wrong, the rest are wrong. We then do a algorithm to permute these around, to turn these around. This will come to here, this will come to here, and this will come to here. And that algorithm with this on the right side is U, R, U, I, L, I, U, R, I, U, I, L. Okay, so this is correct, this is correct, this is correct. Now we just have to rotate them correctly. Now that they're placed in the right slot, and that's doing RI, DI, RD until it's right where it needs to be. So RI, DI, RD, RI, DI, RD. Now don't move and don't panic, because now that this is correctly placed, we simply move this in position, and you do it again. RI, DI, RD. It's called beginner's method because it's a fairly simple, straightforward, slow but very consistent solve. There's no position you won't be able to solve it from. There's no issues with parity problems because we're not reducing this to any other type of puzzle. More on that later. RD, and once more. RI, DI, RD. So again, this needs to be mass produced because it's such a smooth moving puzzle. Okay, so this is your 3x3 solve. You're done with that. Now notice it doesn't look like we're that much closer to solving it, although I will say we've managed to free up some layers. This isn't freed up yet. So with an ultimate shapeshifter, in order to continue the process of freeing up, you can tell that we have to move these edges down. We have to do that. So how are we going to do that? Well, I'm going to take moments of opportunity. I see this is up, this is down, and this is, well, this is down too. So I want to put 3 in a plane up so that I can just move them all down. I might still have one up, but if I take this and I turn this, if I make one turn here, these will be down, but then these will be up, so that won't really help me. Now the problem is I have this here that's kind of blocking things. but I can move this, say, over to here. Now why did I do that? Well, I did that because now in this plane, this is up, and this is up, and this is down. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to be able to move all of these down, in which case only one will be up and three will be down, so I'm closer. But here's the problem, I'm bandaged. This guy won't let me. So this is the part where it may be a little difficult to visualize, but basically what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to move as many of these in the same plane without the bandaging. So how am I going to do that? Well, I'm going to move this over here so that this isn't the correct plane, but I got to move this out of the way. So how am I going to do that? Well, what I can do is I can take this, maybe double turn it like so, double turn it like that. That serves my purpose because this is still up, this is in the wrong position. Remember, ultimate shapeshifters have different corners at different sizes. So this is up, this is up, this is up, and this is down. So what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to move it like this. I've taken the bandage out. So now I've taken all those down and I can move this back if I want to get that back over there. So you can see that I've come a little bit closer to doing what I want to do. Now what about these two? Well, what I can do is the same kind of thing as I'm trying to move as many as I can in the same plane. I've got these in the same plane over here, but this is blocking it. So what if I were to do the same kind of thing? I'm going to take this and move this over to here. So this to here. So how am I going to do that? Why don't I just move this down like so, and double turn. Oh, boat's taken off. So this, and this, these are all up. I'd love to move them down, but this is blocking me. This is bandaging me. So what can I do to help that out? Well, what if I were to do this? What if I swap this corner with this? Well, what if I were to take this and move it to here? So this corner will end up here, and this will end up over here. That'll perform two functions. This will come over to here to also be up in the same plane as this, so I'll have 4 up. 1, 2, 3, and then 4, and this will be taken out of the way. So if this works, a corner swap will take this out of the way so I'm not bandaging this layer, and move this into place so that this can be moved down. So again, I hope you can kind of follow that, but that's my thinking in terms of taking these layers down. So I'm going to do a corner swap. This is a cuboid corner swap of taking this whole corner and this whole corner and swapping these two. It's going to be 2R U, 2R UI 2R, then do a UI D, 2R UI 2R U 2R, and then this moves back. Now this is the part of the solve that takes the most strategy. The 3x3 solve was all algorithms. Required very little thinking, just perspective bending. What I like about this is it's taking strategy. Because look what I did. This, and this are in the same plane. So all I've got to do is press splat. I've now moved that down. What I can do now if I want to maintain my 3x3 solve is simply move these corners back now. 2R U, 2R UI 2R, UI D, 2R, UI, 2R, U, 2R, move this back, and now what we can do is we can start moving some of the things back that we took out. I believe this came over here, and then this moves back over here. Now the thing about this is understand with these advanced puzzles, if you're put off by the amount of strategy that it takes, that's really what it takes to do these kind of puzzles. We're beyond algorithms and we're into strategies. Algorithms now fade into the background and become vices and techniques that we use to come to a means to an ends. But it doesn't replace the strategy of solving this. So what I'm doing is, with these next level puzzles, is we're doing more strategies where the algorithms won't get you to the solve. It'll just get you to the next step. So the 3x3 solve just got me to the next step. And my corner swap was just an algorithm that was used in order to place things in the proper configuration to put them in, to be able to put them down. All I wanted to do was move a whole plane down. You see how all these are up over here? I just positioned it to where I just go bang and move them down. I just had to position them by doing corner swap. So again, this is the next step in more advanced solving. So all of these are down in these layers over here, but I've got I've got these edges over here. So understand I have the edges that are just to the side of the 3x3 edges. We'll call these the 5x5 edges here, here, and here. Now I've got the 7x7 edges here and here. So now I've got to get these down, and how am I going to do that? Well, I only have 2 that are up. When I have 2 that are up, if I had 3 that are up, well, then there will be one thing. But now there's no sense in moving this in the same plane and moving it down because I only have 2 that are up. So what I want to do is I want to move these down by doing the what I call the Red Bull algorithm. What that does, we've seen this with 4x4s. It's a way of taking 2 areas, 2 cubies, so to speak, and flipping them. It not only flips them, but it rotates them. And that's what I want to do, because that'll rotate this back into position. However, to do that, I have to free up this side, and I can't. Why can't I? Because this is blocking me. So what I have to do in order to get these final edges down, the 7x7 edge down, so to speak, is I got to move these in the proper place. We've got the small ones and the big ones. That's what I'm going to call them. So here's one obvious way to do it. What I'm going to try to do is get 2 big ones opposite each other and 2 small ones opposite each other. Then what I can do is I can move them across from each other and swap them out. So what the heck am I talking about? Well, these are already here, so I like that. Let's get a small one opposite over here. Do I have, and I've got this. So I'm simply going to move this up over here. So what I have is I have 2 small ones opposite, 2 big ones opposite. Now what I want to do is just swap them out. So I'm going to move this down. Now you see the 2 large ones here. I'm simply going to move it over here so that the 2 large ones are opposite the 2 small ones, and swap them out, just like that. So now these are in and these are in. Now I just want to move things back where they were, so I'm just going to move this back over here, and then move this back over here. So I've maintained my 3x3 solve, and I'm a little bit closer, but I've still got this one out of place and this one out of place. So now I can't do any more swapping like that. I've got it down to these last 2. And I can't move these down until I move these into position, because until I do that, I won't be able to free up this layer over here. This will bandage it. Now this is freed up, so that's good. But it doesn't matter because Red Bull will be taking this and moving this around, so I need both to be freed up. I can't just move it over here because these are just 5x5 edges, and they're not going to counter the 7x7 edges. So how am I going to do that? How am I going to move these opposite over here?